welcome back to episode 8 of the Bullpen. Today's episode was pre-recorded a couple weeks back before Christmas. Today we are going to have Dominic Vagley on from Columbia High School. He was the Big 12 Freshman of the Year at Kansas after a really strong freshman year. Multiple All-American awards by different publications, so really good freshman year for Dom, and we're excited to have him on, and he provided a lot of great insight for some high school players and parents to try and learn and implement. So appreciate him coming on.
All right, guys. Well, we are welcomed once again by another special guest, another former player that came through the Illinois high school ranks and was no stranger to prep baseball, and got to see him at a fairly young age and watch his rise throughout high school, and then to just kind of continue to see where he is right now. It's really, really cool because I think the sky's the limit. There's no signs of slowing down. And our guest this week is Dominic Vagley from Columbia High School, 2023 grad. He now goes to Kansas. He was freshman of the year in the conference, and former multi-sport athlete in high school, multi-sport standout athlete in high school. Now he's just doing the baseball thing at the next level. He was also a two-way guy in high school. He's turned himself into one of the top arms, if not the top arms, on the Kansas staff, while only being a sophomore. And Dom, if I missed anything there, if anything was incorrect with what I said, please correct me. But welcome on, and it's great to have you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I mean, everything you said pretty much summed it all up.
Well, good stuff. And you don't see many freshmen, especially in today's day and age, with the way this college landscape is going and the transfer portal and how old these college programs are. Most of the guys that you see in lineups or pitching on Fridays or Saturdays, they're 22, 23, 24 years old even. It's kind of crazy. So, I mean, first off, kudos and congrats to you, because I knew you threw a ton of innings for Kansas last year, had some of the best stats, on the team. Was that, how did that all come about? Did you have a pretty good feel in the beginning of the fall? Did you have some ups and downs in the fall, or were you kind of always trending to be a piece for that team this past spring?
I'd say in the fall it definitely had some ups and downs, but like all the ups kind of like showed me, it gave me a glimpse of like how it could turn out throughout the season and like how good I could be against other college players. So, I mean, I feel like all the older guys that were there, like before, that kind of played before the new coaches, and then once the new coaches got there, they were like kind of just put on the back burner. They had a lot of experience, so just talking to them and them helping me out, giving me some good information really helped me.
So they didn't just cast you aside and say, "Hey, you're a freshman, and hey, don't take my job." They coached you up. They were leaders. They taught you the ropes a little bit.
Yeah, I think like they also saw the glimpse of how good I could be, so then they kind of took me under their wing and was like, "Hey, if you want to be like really good, do this, this, and that." And like don't even worry about like what I'm doing or what other people are doing, just do you.
I love to hear it, and it's really refreshing because I feel like a huge part of a high school athlete going to the next level and succeeding is like being put into that situation to allow you to succeed. Whether it's with a coaching staff that's going to believe in you, give you a ton of opportunities, or whether it's, other players on the team like you're talking about that are like, "Hey, Dom, you got a ton of talent. Like our coaches are doing a great job recruiting the right guys, bringing in this talent, and we know you're going to help us win. So, hey, here's what you need to do." And clearly that paid off. I want to get to like you played every sport imaginable. I feel like in high school, you were doing a little bit of everything on the football field, from what I understand. Like you never even came off the
Yeah.
field. Same thing in baseball, like absolute stud shortstop, and then when you weren't playing shortstop, you were pitching. So first off, like that had to be extremely challenging in high school. But how was the transition to going to Kansas and putting all of that stuff behind you and not playing football anymore and not maybe swinging the bat? I don't know if they let you swing it at all or if you had to put it away right away or how that worked, but talk to me about that.
I'd say the transition from football was probably a little bit easier because I knew like going into college, like it wasn't going to be my thing. Like I wasn't going to end up doing it long term. So I kind of just left that in high school. But the hitting one was it was a little tough to get over. But like once I saw the caliber of guys there and how like if I just focused on pitching, like how much better I could be, then I was like, all right, maybe it's something that I'll be willing to do. Just put it down and see what happens from there.
Well, and to speak off that, I mean, you were a first team All State utility guy because you were a two-way guy. Um, I'm looking at your numbers right now. You hit 488 with 20 doubles, 12 home runs, 57 runs scored. You had a 586 OBP. You stole 23 bags. You played a really good defensive shortstop. You were 10 and 0 on the mound though, and you struck out 111 guys in 67 innings. So, like, there was talent through the roof. Clearly you have a ton of talent. But did you feel like your pitching took off when you finally said, "All right, no more," swinging the bat? Like, was that almost a like, hey, now I can just put all of my effort into this? And did you see your stuff tick up? Did you see like what were the benefits of like, okay, finally I'm putting this stuff away and now I can focus on pitching?
Yeah, I definitely felt everything kind of take a pretty big jump up, control, velo, and feel like gaining weight was probably one of the bigger ones too, because doing both, like I was just constantly moving, burning weight, and it was so hard to just keep it. So putting that down and like not running as much, I was a-okay with that and just kind of putting on some more weight. But yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely felt everything tick up.
So is that one of the biggest adjustments going to college is just the importance of the nutrition, the weight room, and putting on quality strength?
Yeah, probably because when I got there, like I in high school, I didn't lift a whole lot, and like eating was just like you come home, you eat whenever mom makes dinner, lunch is at school. But at school, it's like if you're not at baseball, you're constantly eating and working out every single day, and it's like full body workouts every day.
And I'm so glad to hear you say that because I feel like it's so important for these high school athletes to know what it takes, to add 20 pounds. It's a full commitment, it sounds like. And it's hard to do, but it's so important when you get to that next level because not only do you have to be able to handle it mentally, but be able to handle it physically. It's a full on grind. But Gavin, I want to open it up to the group. I think
Yeah,
you may have a question here for us.
Dom, I got one here. What is your diet looking like? What are you eating? And now that mom's not making dinner for you anymore, did you have to teach yourself how to cook this year, or do you have some people within the program that are helping you guys cook or learn how to cook, things like that?
Yeah, we have a thing called Red Card, and you get $27 every day to go spend at like a list of places. But I just go to Hy-Vee, which is like the grocery store around there, and I'll buy like steaks, chicken, and then I was just guessing at first, and I was calling mom every week like, hey, if I'm trying to cook a chicken breast on the stove, like how long do I got to put it on here? I don't want to kill myself with salmonella and everything. So I'm calling her. She's helping me out and everything, but I got it all figured out and I'm good now.
Dialed in right now. I love to hear it. That's I maybe I don't call mom anymore. Maybe my Google is my mom. I'm always like, all right, I gotta Google everything or YouTube it. Gavin, I don't know if you had anything off of that. Um,
No, nothing off of that. And I got a question more based on being on campus, so I don't want to get into that unless you guys are ready for me to get into that. But
I, Go ahead,
good.
Gavin.
All
I'm
right,
I'm looking up. I want to talk a little bit about Dominic's senior year. So I'm just, but
go
go
ahead
ahead and
first. Go with it. No, go senior year first, and then we'll start talking about
well,
campus.
so you led Columbia to state, right? Like I wanna hear a little bit just about some other players on your team or, what made that year so special? Because to me, it's hard. Like your senior season being Dom Vagley, um, you're playing football, you're doing all this stuff, but like, man, you were talented. I was just looking, we had you up to 95 in March. I'm guessing that was at the kickoff classic. I think it was like March 13th, but you're going through the whole, like, pro guys are on you. Like you're getting draft interest. But then you're also leading a team to state. So, you had some good players. Like one guy we've been fortunate enough to get to know now over the last couple of years is Brody Landgraf. Like one of my favorite guys in the state right now, just personality wise. Like, I mean, I can't look at it without smiling. He's just always like a
Yeah.
positive energy, like wants to have fun, but loves to compete. Um, so talk me through that dynamic because you're trying to finish your senior year off on a high note, but the draft thing, it's constant noise and it's constantly there. So how did you either block it out or embrace it, or what was your process?
I mean, I feel like I kind of just blocked it out. I tried to act like it wasn't really going on during the games and everything. Kind of just try to make it like a post game thing or a pre game thing. Like everybody's texting me when I'm playing, so like pre game I'll answer that, and then like as soon as the game starts, I'm kind of just trying to drown it out and act like it's normal high school baseball.
What are some things on the mound to get you locked in? Like whether you have your A stuff or not, like are there certain cues that you go to? Are there certain things with your delivery? Are there certain things with release point? To kind of get you locked in because just watching you from afar, like you're similar to Owen Murphy, who we had on here a couple weeks ago. Like you were that shortstop who's super athletic on the mound, can control the running game, threw a ton of strikes. Like you were one of those guys where it's almost like you could have maybe benefited from being out of the zone a little more. But what were some of those things that kind of were keys for you or cues for you even to this day?
I'd say just like building a good relationship with my catcher, because like if I'm struggling to find the zone and I don't have anything working, like I'd want my catcher to be like, hey, just work with me here, and then trying to talk me through it. And I feel like in high school, the catcher that I had, like he caught me like our whole life through summer ball, high school ball. So like as soon as he saw something, like he knew something was up, and he'd like tell me like, hey, like we're good, just settle down, just right through me. And I feel like in college, trying to get to know my catchers a little bit better. Last year, getting to know Ingy and Ben Hartle, they were both great guys, and I felt like if I was ever down, I could always trust either one of them to always pick me back up.
Did it matter for you last year who was catching you? We know Ben Hartle really well. Like he was an Illinois product, former future gamer, really talented player. But like, did it depend on who was pitching for the other team on who was catching?
I mean, I don't really know what like it depended on, or if they were just on like a every other game kind of thing. But for me, I didn't really like it. Didn't matter who was catching. I knew both of them were gonna do great and steal me some pitches, throw guys out, and they were both gonna hit. So it didn't really matter to me.
I mean, that's a huge plus to have two guys on the staff that you're comfortable to throw to. Tyler, I think you had a question here, maybe draft related.
Yeah, Dom, I know we touched a little bit about all the draft interest you had your senior year, but for those that don't know, you were taken in the 20th round by the Arizona Diamondbacks. First question, was that a hard decision at all to turn down the D-backs? I mean, I'm sure it's a dream of yours to one day pitch in the big leagues. So was that a hard no to give them? And then second off, what was the overall, decision process like for you?
I think the most important one for me was just making the right decision and knowing like what my worth was going into it. Trying to not like sell myself too short or try to ask for something too big. Just kind of meet right in the middle. And I mean, it's always hard to like say no to your dream. Just making it to pro ball and being able to do what every high school, college kid wants to do. But I feel like knowing what was in store ahead for me kind of helped me like help guide me through that and was like definitely the turning point made me say no.
Did you? I'm sitting here thinking, did you entertain the idea of playing football and baseball in college at all?
Um I mean a little bit, but like I wasn't getting like crazy interest for football anywhere, so then I didn't want to like put myself backwards with baseball just to make sure that I keep playing football. I was okay with kind of just putting the pads down and just going straight for baseball.
Gavin, I thought you brought up a really good question here.
Yeah. So, Dom, the other day on Twitter, I saw a video of Coach Fitzgerald talking about your guys' #1 JUCO class that you have that he's bringing in for, what is that, next year? and he kind of talked about having like a grinder mentality and what a lot of those JUCO guys have. That's kind of the mentality that they have. So how important is, because I feel like, being from Columbia, a smaller town in Southern Illinois, you're always trying to get, you were trying to get noticed out of high school, and maybe kind of had a couple, you had to, work your way up to try and get your name out there more than if you were in a bigger city or bigger area. So kind of talk about that and how like your mentality is kind of fits with the Kansas program as a whole.
I'd say as a whole, I'd like just being from a small town, I feel like we might get overlooked sometimes just because like we're from a small town and the school hasn't been like historically awesome at the specific sport. So then like you really gotta push yourself, push the school, maybe go somewhere else to get your name out there and like attract them to your smaller town. So I feel like at Kansas, we kind of like we might get overlooked because we're not like a big historic baseball team. But I mean, bringing in some of the new guys from other places and just attracting better players really will put our name out there, put the school out there, and more people will have us on the map now.
And I think you'll play a big part of that too if you keep doing what you're doing, winning Freshman of the Year awards and stuff like that. Have you been able to enjoy like Allen Fieldhouse at all? Going to any early basketball games so far?
Oh yeah,
How's that been?
we always like going to the basketball games. It's a whole different type of environment when you get in there. 'Cause like I mean every basketball, football, baseball game that I've been to, like the environment's always great, but like in Allen Fieldhouse there's like I've never been to anything like that. Like every single person in there is standing up, jumping, cheering, screaming. It's so loud you can't hear what's going on.
I've never been there, but it looks like a special place. Which I know that's got to be a cool, like, little added bonus to be doing the baseball thing at Kansas and have that there to do in the wintertime. Do you have any like high school memories, whether it's prep baseball or big events that stood out to you, moments in your career, whether it's good or bad? Like maybe, I think the first time we saw you, it was not your best, or I maybe had a bad look at you, but it was in the summer, and your velo was maybe down a little bit at the St. Louis Top Prospect, but then you came back the year after, and what really stood out to me was you drove all the way from Columbia up to the Chicagoland area. You came to our Aurora preseason ID, and I was lucky enough to have you on my mound. And I remember thinking like how much you had improved or how different you looked at that event versus the summer before when I had seen you, um, and had really turned yourself into a guy. Like you were, I think, our number one ranked pitcher from that event. So that's something that really stands out to me. But is there anything that stands out to you?
I mean, I remember going to all those with my dad and traveling all the way up there, going to all the different ones, but I'd say probably the Illinois State games was a big one for me because I had a couple buddies that went there too, and we were all like, "Oh, this will be cool, just like a fun little thing." And we showed up, and there's like 8 different teams, and we're like, "All right, maybe this is a little bit bigger than we thought it was." And then like after that was all over, that's when like a bunch of the college scouts really started reaching out, like, "Hey, you're not committed yet," like blah blah blah, just trying to talk to me a little bit more, and I felt like that's where I really like took a jump up and got my name out there.
That fires me up to hear that. Because you were lights out at that event also. MVP award, if I remember correctly, just off the top of my head. And I want to say you were like nothing but strikes, like sitting 90, 91, and you always really, really spun it. You could really spin the breaking ball. So I remember thinking at that point, like, how are more people not on you? So thank goodness they finally got on you after that performance, and got you to a great place where you're flourishing right now. And I'll have to say, like, talking about the Illinois State games and not expecting what it was going to be, like we were kind of in the same boat. Like, hey, this really cool concept, we want to build it up. But like your group and what you did there has helped allow this Illinois State games to grow into what it is today. And I don't know if you're aware, we had 20 teams last year at the Illinois State games, with a number of colleges, and hopefully it'll help more and more players out like it did you, because that's the whole goal of it, is to bring all these players in Illinois from the freshmen to the seniors and let these coaches see them battle and play, and hopefully get noticed and offers out of it. So Um, that is great to hear. Well, Dom, I don't have a ton else that I had written down to ask. I don't know if Peter, if you had anything. Yeah, go ahead if you want to jump in here.
Yeah. What's up, Dom?
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for coming on here. So I was just looking through your kind of breaking down your game by game stats, and I mean you were dominant really all year. You didn't really hit a rough patch until that Houston game. And so then my question for you is coming off that outing, that's like your first real struggle, right? And then you got Texas, a big conference matchup, arguably one of the biggest college baseball schools in the country, right?
Yeah.
How did you kind of keep your mentals in check? Like, all right, first struggle that I've had, like, how did you go about dealing with that? And then getting ready for the next, the big matchup the following week.
I'd say like kind of just keeping a level head, like knowing like it's baseball, it's gonna happen. Like it's happened to me before, it's happened to everybody else, and then some of the older guys talking me through it, like, hey, like it's one game, and it's like it's not really gonna matter. They're not gonna look at that one game and be like, oh, this is what we're getting. They're gonna look at every other game and say like this is the guy that we could get. And
Right.
then like going into Texas, like it's always just it'd be so like it's a dream just to be able to play like college baseball, obviously, but getting to play against Texas was kind of a pretty surreal moment. Like walking on the field, getting to see like some of the guys on the other team, like dang, this is like it all just hit me all at once.
Yeah. And you
So
shoved that day too. I think it was what, 5 innings, no runs? Was it that?
I think I gave up one or two. Yeah, it was
I don't
because
know if any of them were earned though.
yeah, well it was my error that was the reason that the run scored.
Oh,
It was
okay.
it was a botched pickoff move, and I threw it like 20 feet in front of me and rolled past them.
I
I was
gotcha.
just talking up your your how you could hold the running game and how you field your position. Oh man,
Yeah,
all right. That there was no other errors on the year, were there?
I think I only had one, maybe two. That was it.
All right.
But yeah,
I
Um,
got one more for you, Dom. Just what can we expect? Like, do you have any plans to, elevate yourself? I know obviously weight room. You're trying to get like more athletic, more mobile. You're trying to add a new pitch. Like, what's kind of the plan moving forward?
I'd say probably two things. One would be just getting more explosive, like you said in the weight room. I feel like one of the things that I'm kind of a little bit lower than everybody else in it would be like my explosiveness. But I feel like once I get going, everything's good. I just need to start a little bit faster, and I feel like that'll help with velo and everything. And then I added in a changeup in here, so we've been working on
There you
that
go.
for a couple months now, and it's really starting to take off.
with hitters at the college level, was there one thing with them that really stood out to you? Whether just getting into Kansas in the fall and having ups and downs, or things you saw in the spring that were tough.
Yeah, I mean, college hitters definitely pick up spin a lot better than most of the high school guys did. It's like in high school, you're just spinning sliders and curveballs in there, and half the kids are like turning away from it or just swinging way over it. But in college, like every single guy is either on it or just misses it.
Yeah, Dom. I was just curious. Like, since you got to Kansas, what do you feel like you've developed the most on?
I'd say probably just maturing. I feel like I'm a lot more mature than I was in high school, just physically and mentally. Just putting weight on, getting bigger, and then also like changing my mindset about the game, like how like it's actually like sometimes it is like a job, I guess, but it's like it's just another game, so it's not really a job.
One thing that these college coaches, because we've had a few college coaches on, and the past couple are more pitching guys, I would say. And a lot of them talk about that, where like when you get to college, these high school, especially like a high school kid coming to a college program, like you need to be mentally strong. And I guess that my question for you would be: you were saying that you kind of developed your, mentally you got stronger probably since you got on campus. What do you think, like, as someone that has pitched in college games, big college games, like, what do you like? I'm trying to think how to word it the right way, but like, mentally, what do you need to be thinking? Like, what are some things that high school kids should realize is a super important like process to have with the mental side of the game, I guess. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, just going out there knowing that like you're there for a reason. So just being confident and going out there, giving it your all and just doing you, trying not to do something that's out of your control. Just do what you can control and can control what you can control.
And the thing that always stood out to me with you, Dom, was like, man, when you were on the mound, you pitched. Like you didn't throw, like you pitched. You would spin, breaking ball for a strike. You would locate a fastball. Like you weren't just. I think we see a lot of guys they get enamored with this velocity in today's day and age. They want to see how hard they can throw. They don't really care if they walk guys. They don't care if guys score on them. Like as long as they hit a number. Like hey, I hit 89 today or whatever it is. And like you always stood out because you were the even keel, low pulse on the mound. Like what you wouldn't know if you walked up to a field and saw Dom Vagley on the mound. You wouldn't know if you were up 7-0 or down 7-0 and just giving up 7 earned runs. Like, and that to me is such a good quality to have. And just listening to you talk, like it's very evident that it seems like you are just stay in the moment. Like I'm just gonna do my job. I'm gonna compete and not get too high or too low. And there's no reason, it's no reason why. You've been so successful. Like it's very obvious. And that always stood out to me. It's because you pitched and you had stuff and you could field your position. And that's one of the reasons why you did get sought after by pro scouts, why you're having success at the next level. And that's what I think these young guys need to realize. Like it's not about just throwing hard or it's not about being able to spin a great breaking ball. It's putting it all together and being as polished as you can be in every aspect of pitching. So, I just wanted to let you know that that's always stood out to me. And I think we're here on this podcast. Like, how can we help these guys coming up through Illinois and through high school and, put them in a situation to succeed and give them some knowledge that they can then take to their winter workouts, but then take to their spring and their tryouts. And, hey, you want to impress a coach, like do this, or you want to, win when you get an opportunity on the mound, like do this. So, it's not even really a question. It was more of a statement of just like, man, I've been very impressed with you. And I think us as a staff, we always are following guys after high school. Like we loved you in high school, whether we had you ranked first or I think maybe 11th, whatever it was. Like you could have arguments on that, right? Like there's a lot of good players that we're ranking there. But we're always looking to see like, all right, who is going, to the next level and having success. And to see what you're doing, and like I said, I think when we came on here is like, I don't see any signs of slowing down. You're the type of guy to me that's trying to get better every single day. You're, hitting the weight room and trying to get better cooking your food, whatever it may be. Like, and all of that goes into the package of making you a better pitching prospect. So if there is anything off of that you have for high school, pitchers, anything that maybe clicked for you at a certain time in high school, but that for me is why you are, just doing what you're doing right now. And it's really, really impressive to see.
I mean, one thing would be it's cool to see all those like pop all those big numbers and everything and try to go for all the crazy spin rates, but like with growing up with my dad as my coach, like that's what he would say was like, who cares how hard you throw or like how much it's moving, just put it in the zone. Because if you're throwing 98 and it's 3 feet to the left, like it doesn't even matter. Half the time it's not even going to pick up on the radar. So just stay in the zone, and who cares if you're 88 to 91, as long as it strikes, you got a lot better chance of getting the guy out.
It's good to hear from your dad. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's some good stuff there.
Yeah, Dom, I want to hop in here real quick, ask about your freshman season. So I was doing a little bit of research on you, saw like your outing against Pacific. You struck out 10 guys, which was the first time a Kansas freshman had done that in like 40 years, which is insane, and is a total kudos to you. But was there a game or moment last year that, maybe internally proved to yourself that like, hey, I belong here at this level? Like, was it that Pacific start? I saw you also got the win against arch rival Kansas State a few outings later. So maybe just talk on that for a bit.
I feel like the game that really like helped me internally, mentally was probably the TCU game when they were ranked. I think it was third or fifth in the country at that time, whatever it was. But like everybody was going into it and like, dang, like we don't know how this is gonna go. And then the Friday night guy went out there, he did his thing, and then I was like, all right, maybe we'll steamroll them. And then I went out there and I did pretty well, did what I was supposed to do, and we ended up winning that game too. And then I was like, after the game, I was telling myself and my dad like maybe it's not like as big or as like crazy intimidating as we thought it was going to be. Like, and then I was talking to my pitching coach after the game, and he was like, we were comparing it to like playing against Edwardsville. How like it's a good team, but like you have a shot to beat them if you go out there and play your best and do what you're supposed to do. Like you can beat anybody. So I feel like that was definitely a big turning point for me.
No, that's awesome. It's good stuff there.
This is great stuff, Dom. And I can't thank you enough for coming on. And I'm hoping it's one of those things where you go out this spring and you're like National Pitcher of the Year, and then we have you on after that and we celebrate the award together. We ask you some questions about your season and what maybe changed from, this point to then. But no, thank you. I know you're in the middle of finals here. Hopefully you get some time to go back home and see the family and rest up a little bit and continuing to hit the weight room, because that this time for college athletes, we talk about it for high school athletes all the time, like how important that basically end of October to end of February is. Like for college athletes, it's weird. It's more like 1 month from finals to then when you check back into school, how important that can be to your spring success, because it's man, you get back to school early mid-January and you've got like 1 month until your first game. So good luck to you. Thank you for coming on. We will be following you. We're huge fans and can't thank you enough for providing some quality insight here to the podcast.
Yep, no problem. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, take care, Dom.
Thank you, you guys too.
Well, thanks to Dominic Vegley, one of the more talented prospects to come through the state in quite some time, and a multi-sport talent at that. Really made waves on the football field, and as a two-way prospect for Columbia, led him to state his senior year, and was one of the top prospects to come through. And you love to see a guy like Dom have success at the next level and do his thing for Kansas, especially at such a young age. So I know I speak for all of our staff, like really excited to see what comes for him down the road and what he can do here in his next couple of years. And then ultimately getting another chance at the draft, because he was a 20th rounder out of high school and turned down some money to go to Kansas. So big fans of him, and we'll definitely be keeping our eyes on him. And then to everybody else out there listening, like just stay tuned. We're excited to continue to take this, into 2025 and continue to provide quality guests and content. And thanks to all the listeners, and we'll see you guys in 2025.
Yeah, and also Happy New Year, because this should be coming out on New Year's Day. So Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you guys
Happy New Year.
hope you have a good 2025.